Hey guys, welcome to Food is Good and welcome to season 2. We're so excited about the things that you're gonna see this season. I can't stand it. You guys are gonna love it. We're gonna make some crazy dishes, some awesome dishes, and amazing dishes that you can take and go and feed your family with. And that's the whole point of why we do what we do. Definitely to glorify the Lord and to entertain you guys and to educate you guys. That was the purpose of this whole thing. So before I get too far down that road, let's get started. I'm Caesar, welcome to Food is Good, and today we're gonna be doing lamb chops. Lamb chops are gonna be amazing, and there's a story about lamb chops. You know, it's this time of year, it's spring, and for some reason, I thought we can either do ham or we can do lamb. So we're gonna go with lamb. So if you're gonna do something, you know, like that, I think we should do some nice vegetables. Instead of doing something very heavy and starchy, we're gonna do some nice, clean, herb roasted vegetables. You're gonna love them. So, like I said, I'm Caesar, this is Food is Good, and we'll be right back. So guys, like I said earlier, we're gonna be talking about spring vegetables. And what says spring better than zucchini and squash, or zucchini and squash? We've got some zucchini, some squash, some colorful bell peppers, and some red onions. And we're gonna take those, cut those up, saute those off, get those going. I may finish them up in the oven, or I just may finish them up here in this skillet right here, because those lamb chops are gonna be amazing, guys. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and cut this squash up right here. And whenever I'm doing any kind of vegetable like this, I like to have a flat surface so I'm not chasing it all over the board and all of that. So I definitely want to make sure it's flat. Plus, I don't cut myself if I don't have to chase it. So we're going to go ahead and cut some of these up right here. And like I say all the time, keep those fingers back. You need them, or you're going to need them. Yeah. And as they start to get, and what I do is, if you notice, when you're cooking vegetables, you want them to be a consistent size. So this piece is going to be really small and this piece is going to be really big. So as I'm starting to get down toward the big end of it, I'll just go ahead and cut it in half. So it'll be nice, consistent pieces. Nice uniform, rather. I don't want to make them too small because I want them to hold up to some cooking. If not, they're going to kind of whittle away a little. So I'm going to speed it up just a little. Get these done. And what I'm going to do is, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little olive oil in my skillet. Now you can use olive oil, you can use a little vegetable oil, you can use a little canola oil. You get to pick it. So what I'm gonna do, this is hot. You always wanna start off with, when you're putting your oil in there, you wanna start off with the cold skillet. When you're putting your vegetables in there, you wanna start off with a hot skillet. So I'm just gonna put these to the side while this is getting ready. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start chopping up my zucchini. And same thing, don't want to chase. So I'm gonna do this right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut this down the middle. And then I'm gonna start chopping. And I want them to be uniform in size, so they'll cook evenly. Make sure this is hot. That sounds hot. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get these in there. I'm gonna go ahead and season these also once I get them in there. And you know my seasoning of choice, salt, pepper, garlic. I'm also gonna put some fresh herbs in there. So I'm gonna put some fresh thyme in there and some fresh rosemary in these vegetables. First thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is hit them with a little salt. Salt helps draws out the moisture in your vegetable. Crank it up a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and chop down some of these bell peppers here. I'm gonna take that seed out of them. With these, the seeds isn't that dangerous in these kind of bell peppers because they're sweet. But when you start getting into some of your other peppers, like your jalapenos, poblanos, you wanna take the seed out, unless you want that extra heat. If you want that extra heat, then leave the seed in. I take the seed out. Saute these up just a little. One got away. Go ahead and work on some more of my vegetables here. Onion, as I got older, I started to appreciate onions more. Wasn't a big fan of it when as I was coming up, but I love onions. Whether they're red, they're white, they're yellow, I love them. But see with the onions, I also want them to be uniform in size as I did my vegetables here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut them like this. And then I'm just gonna start chopping them. I'm not gonna put the whole onion in there because sometimes, even though these onions can be a little sweet, it also can be a little overpowering. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here. Give it some color also. This in half, right here. Get all of it in there. Why waste? Won't not, waste not? Is that the way to go? Or waste not, won't not? Something like that. So get some bell peppers in there. And I'm kind of staging them just a little. My zucchini and squash, it's going to be a little bit more dense. So it's going to take a little bit more cook time versus these bell peppers here. So I'm not putting them in there quite yet. Right here. Go ahead and get a red one going. There again, I'm going to get rid of these seeds here. Go ahead and break these down. Speed it up just a little. Really important to have a nice sharp knife because it'll cut through the skin side of it. This side right here seems to be a little easier to cut through. But having a sharp knife is very important. Let me go ahead and get a little rosemary, get a little thyme ready to add to this. I've already put some salt in there, and then I'm gonna crack some black pepper in it also. So grab a little fresh rosemary and some of these thyme right here. Let's put this to the side. Now with the thyme, you can just take them right off the leaf and just put them right in there, off this, whatever you call these things, and put them right in there, the stem, and put them right in there. Your rosemary is going to require a little bit more chopping because they can be very kind of woody-like. So we're going to chop those up a little bit more. They're not as tender as thyme. Get that in there. And then we're going to take this, and we're just going to chop them. And, you know, you don't have to peel these off. I just chop it all. Obviously, if it's starting to get down toward the woody part, don't. But it's a lot more tender up at the top. I'm going to take that, get that in there. And now, I'm going to go ahead and drop my bell peppers in there. Just for a little bit more color, okay? So we're gonna season these up. I'm gonna put a little bit more olive oil in there. Like that face, I'm gonna put a little bit more olive oil in there. I'm gonna put a little bit more olive oil in there. Hit it with a little black pepper. And I want it to be a little coarse, and to do that, just adjust the knob on the top, and they're not gonna be as fine. Now something I'm gonna do that's gonna really push these vegetables over the top. Once they're done, right before I serve them, I'm gonna take some fresh Parmesan and I'm gonna grate the Parmesan on top of it with the micro grater. So it's gonna be really fine and kind of melt down just a little. If I had my choice, I'd do feta cheese just because I love feta cheese. But I'm gonna let these be sauteing a little bit more. I'm gonna clean up my area and we'll be right back. So, guys, these vegetables look good. They smell amazing. I've already seasoned them up. I added a little bit more salt to them. What I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna go ahead and take them and put them in my beautiful dish here. So I'm gonna put them there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put a little Parmesan across the top of it, like I told you. So looks really good. Everything cooked evenly. That's the reason you wanna have them about the same size. So they do cook up very, very evenly. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go ahead and take some Parmesan and grate it on top of it. So here's my Parmesan here. Just grate it. And like I said, it's going to be very fine, so it'll start to melt on there. Using a micro grater. Can you get some Parmesan from the store and cut this step out? You can. I think this is better though, but you can do it. And I can see it starting to melt on there. So that's really good. So we do this right here. And I'm just gonna put these to the side because these look really good. I'm gonna put these here. And now we're gonna talk about lamb chops. I'll be honest with you, I never grew up eating lamb chops. I grew up eating pork chops. Definitely not lamb chops. Sit that to the side. But this is what a lamb chop looks like. And you can get larger lamb chops or smaller lamb chops. You can also French them if you wanted to. I didn't particularly want to French these right here. I kind of wanted that extra little piece of meat right around the side of it. But you can French them to make them look better. So I guess the question is to French or not to French. But what I will show you is that to French it, and I don't know if this is really the right type of knife, but essentially what you're gonna do is that you're just gonna go right down here and cut that little piece right off the bone. Well, that little meat right off the bone. So, just like this, and you skin it up really good, and it's really pretty. And you wanna take all that meat off right here. And just do it like this. Get it down, kind of cut where you want it to start at. Just kind of do it like that. It's really an unnecessary step. However, if you want to do it, you can do it. You can do it just like this and just clean it up. So ideally, this is what it's gonna look like. French or not French. So I'm gonna take this little bit right here and throw it away. I'm gonna go ahead and season up my, all this waste. I'm gonna go ahead and season up my lamb chops and salt, pepper, garlic. If you're gonna use dried herbs, this would be a great time to use dry herbs. Put them on here, don't put them on here. Let's go ahead and pull that skillet out. And what I did was, and I'll show you what I'm working with today, I started to use a regular flat grill, a flat skillet, and do pan seared, but I say no, it'll look prettier if I grill it up with the marks on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it a little hot, and then I'll put, and here's another thing. If you start, there's a lot of fat on these lamb chops, and normally there's fat running along the side of it. If you didn't want to put any extra oil in your skillet, you can always start searing it on the side right there where the fat's at. But as you can see, they were cleaned up very nicely, and there's really not a lot of fat. There's no fat there pretty much. So I am gonna put a little olive oil in there, even though I'm using and as a matter of fact, I'm not gonna do olive oil for this application right here. I'm just gonna use a regular canola oil or some vegetable oil, because olive oil has a tendency to burn really quick, especially if you're doing something like grilling steaks. So, lamb chops. Let's back it up just for a second. So this is on, this is getting hot. Let's go ahead and season the chops. So we're gonna season them up. And I like mine medium. Some people may like theirs a little medium rare. And some people like theirs well. And if you like them well, that's fine. But the more you cook any type of meat, the more it's gonna tighten up. So I like mine somewhere in the middle. And it really just depends on the thickness of it. If I'm eating a really thick piece of steak, then I'm gonna go a little bit past medium just because I just am, you know. But hey, I'm a lot better than some of my family members that I know. They only eat theirs well done. And I shouldn't say one's better or one's worse, but I just think when I cook mine well done, it's just very dry. So some people may have a different secret, or a secret that they know to keep it from drying out by doing it like that. I just don't know that, so I just cook mine medium. So I'm gonna go ahead and salt these up, and you didn't even ask for all that. I'm gonna salt and pepper this right here, and both sides. Right here. And then I'm gonna put a little garlic across there. Somebody told me, a gentleman that I used to work under back in the days when I was a lot younger, he says every great chef uses garlic. So he was right. I use a lot of garlic. Not saying I'm great. I'm just saying I use a lot of garlic. So I use minced garlic, and I use granulated garlic, just depending on what the application is. So this is hot, getting hot right here. I'm gonna go ahead and crank it up a little bit more, because like I said, oil in a cold, and then the meat in a hot. So I'm gonna get it a little warmer than it is right now. I'm gonna crank it up right here. But what I am gonna do, I'm going to drizzle a little oil across these lamb chops. Now, this cast iron skillet right here has already been seasoned. And if you don't know what that pretty much means it's been rubbed down with oil and put in the oven and baked. So now it has that baked on seasoning of it, I guess. What you don't want to do is you do not want to wash that thing, wash the skillet with soapy water and scrub it, because you're going to take all the seasoning off of it. Actually, what you do want to do, you want to rinse it and kind of wipe it. That's how you preserve that. So guys, we've seasoned up the lamb chops, salt, pepper, garlic, and whenever you put salt on something, like I said earlier, it starts to draw some of the moisture out of it. So I can actually see some of the moisture coming out of that. So if you ever want to dry age it, just salt it, throw it in the cooler for a while. I mean, that's my way of dry aging it. You know, essentially the only thing you're doing is just you're drawing some of that liquid out of it. I'm sure there's a more complicated process, but if you take a piece of meat, salt it down, throw it in the cooler, and it's gonna start to draw some of the moisture out of it, and you're gonna like the flavors of that. So what we're gonna do, this is already looking good. I'm gonna add a little extra oil in this right here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start putting my lamb chops in there. And that's the sound you want to hear. Put those in there. You do not want to crowd your pan, your skillet, because if you do that, it starts to do more steaming versus cooking. Now let's see where I can put this little guy in there. This was probably like the little runt of the family, you know? So we got that in there. And what I'm gonna do is, since I'm cooking them medium and they're so thin, I'm gonna roughly do about 3 minutes on each side. So I'm gonna take this and just put that to the side. Right here. So we're gonna do 3 minutes on each side. They're looking really good here. Now you could, like I said, if you wanted to add some thyme, this would be the time to add your thyme to it. This would be the time to add your dry seasonings to it, your dry herbs to it, right here. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna let those things do its thing. And when we come back, we're gonna flip them, and I'll show you what they look like on that side. So, they look like they're about ready, and look at that, look at that. And I'm gonna do the other side. No diamonds here. They are forever though. So we're gonna flip this right here. This one could have stand to be a little longer, but they're fine. That's the French one. Right here. Little lamb chops right here. So it's looking really good. You can always tell the hot spot because it's gonna be a little darker in those hot spots. So what you can do, you can rotate it around when in the flipping process so they cook up evenly. It smells amazing. We got that doing its thing. So, like I said, growing up, we never ate lamb chops. We only ate pork chops. But as small as these cuts here are lamb chops, I probably know why, or I think I know why we didn't eat them growing up, because my family, my mother had all boys. She would be working all the time, or somebody would be working all the time, because we'd probably eat like 4 of those things by themselves. Plus, lamb chops can be a little pricier than pork chops. Right here. So they're looking really good. And like I said about rotating it, this one over here doesn't seem to be cooking as well as the one in the middle. So I'm just gonna rotate it around just a little. It was still a little runt. Just not performing up to, you know, it's all good though. We'll fix it up. So we got that in there. Now, there's a lot of different things you can do. When these come out, you can make a glaze, a balsamic glaze, or make some type of balsamic reduction and drizzle across the top of it, and that would have been really good. But at this point, I just really wanted to taste the freshness of the lamb chops with the salt, the pepper, and the garlic on there. So we didn't. But I tell you what I am gonna do just to add a little bit more flavor in this process right here at this step. I'm gonna go ahead and take this. Well, actually, the way you do this is you do that. I'm gonna go and take a few pieces of garlic, peel this off of it, and just throw them in there. Just throw them in there. Because that's that oil that's cooking in there, and you're gonna start getting some of that garlic flavor, that garlic taste in there, garlic aroma in there. Same thing. I'm gonna put 2 pieces in there. Now what we're doing is we're actually just building flavor. So we're gonna get this in there, get this right there, in there. I'll move it around just a little. So some of the oil that's coming off of the lamb chops is gonna kind of mix with the garlic right there and add a little bit more flavor. The second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little mushrooms to it also. Just because I wanna eat those mushrooms when I put them on my plate, they're gonna be really good. So my mushrooms is right here. I'm gonna take this mushroom, kind of cut that part off right there, and just put this in there too. You know, the mushrooms there. Somebody's knocking. Right here, we got that in there. And then I'm gonna pour a little, and I know I said I was gonna use a little vegetable oil or canola oil, but right now, because they're not gonna be on there that much longer, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little olive oil just across my vegetables that I put in there. Just a little across my vegetables. And I'm gonna hit them with a little salt, the mushrooms rather, and a little black pepper across the mushroom. I'm not gonna put any garlic on the garlic. I'm just not gonna do it. All right, so let's take a look at this right here. Oh, it's looking good. It's looking really good. Looking good. Oh, it looks good. Let's take a look at it's performing. It's performing. I'm just gonna flip it over one more time. The little small ones. Like this one, I'm gonna flip it over one more time. But they're looking really good. But keep in mind, I do want them to be medium. Just make sure I get that garlic in there. So it's looking good. So when I come back, we're gonna pull these lamb chops off and we're gonna start plating it up and we're gonna taste it. I already know it's gonna be amazing. Be right back. So guys, I am gonna start pulling off these lamb chops right here. And like with any piece of meat, you want it to rest. And I'll tell you a story. Some people say, hey, if you sear your meat, then you keep the juices from running out of it. I don't know where they got that from, because whenever you're cooking any piece of meat, those juices are gonna run to the center of it anyway. It's actually something called, I believe it's called the Maillard solution, Maillard something. But anyway, look it up. But the point I'm making is that your juices, when you're searing your piece of meat, it doesn't keep the juices from running out. The juices are gonna run to the center. That's why when we pull them off the skillet or out the pan, we wanna let them rest so the juices can go back into, the places. And you don't wanna cut it, because if you cut it, the juices are gonna run right out of it. So I'm gonna put it right there, get this in there. I'm gonna let this one stay on just a hair bit longer. But I am gonna start pulling off my mushrooms because they are looking really, really good. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting really hungry here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling off my mushrooms. Right here. Mushrooms don't take long to cook, especially if you sprinkle a little salt on it. Let me take those off. And what I would have done if all my chops were done, I would have just pulled the chops off and just pulled the mushrooms off like that. But this one's not done. So instead of pulling it off, I let it sit there a little bit longer. I think it's good. It's good. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it right there. Put this right here. And I'm gonna cut this off, sit this to the side, and then guys, we're gonna start plating this up. First of all, let me do this here, and I'm gonna break a rule. I know I said I don't wanna cut into it, but I'm gonna cut into this one right here just to make sure they're close to being medium. There's absolutely nothing I can do if it's not at this point. And I'm gonna say this is a perfect medium one right here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit it right here. And I'm gonna give that to somebody else. I'm joking, I'm gonna eat that one. Anyway, guys, we'll be right back. So guys, the lamb chops have rested. They're about ready. I'm gonna go ahead and start plating it up. Everything looks so good. There's a lot of color, spring. It's what you wanna do this time of year. So, let's go ahead and go here. So I'm gonna pull off some of these nice vegetables right here. Actually, let me get another spoon. And I'm gonna pull off some of these vegetables here. You know, just trying to eat a little lighter. Everything doesn't have to be so heavy and starchy. So we got that vegetables right there. A little bit more here. Put this to the side right here. So guys, I'm gonna put a little bit more cheese across the top of it. Now the vegetables have cooled down just a little, so that cheese is not gonna melt, which is really good. Because I kind of want to see it. So put that right there. And then crack a little bit more black pepper across this right here. Just a little. And then what I'm gonna do to start the dish, dun, 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 the lamb chop right here. Let's see, right here. Another one right here. And then a third one. I'm gonna need a box to go for this, right? No, I'm joking. So I'm gonna take some of these mushrooms with a little garlic, and I'm gonna put it right across the top of it. Not that big piece of garlic. I'm gonna throw that back to the side. Right there. Guys, I don't know about you, but this looks really, really good. So guys, looks really good. Smells amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this. Try these vegetables here. If I can pick them up. Looks really good. I can't wait to jump into the rest of it, but like I say every week, guys, food is good, God is great, and every day's a blessing. See you next week on Food is Good.